O eternal and almighty God, from whom all power and wisdom come, we are assembled here before thee to frame such laws as may tend to the welfare and prosperity of our province. Grant, O merciful God, we pray thee, that we may desire only that which is in accordance with thy will, that we may seek it with wisdom and know it with certainty and accomplish it perfectly, for the glory and honor of thy name and for the welfare of all our people. Amen. We acknowledge we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory and that Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishin, Inuak, Dakota, Oate, Dene, Sulene, and Nihithowag nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Good afternoon, everybody. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills. The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I move, seconded by the MLA for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 246, the Public Health Amendment Act, la loi modifiant la loi sur la santé publique, be now read a first time.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for River Heights, seconded by the Honourable Member for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 246, the Public Health Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Madam Speaker, one of the things which is fundamental to preventive health is to be able to plan ahead and to lay out your plans and to have them looked at. I was dismayed to find out that there wasn't in the Public Health Act the ability for the public health officer, Chief Public Health Officer, to plan. And so this is now included in this amendment, and it will include provision that the plan, once tabled once a year, will come to a legislative committee so that it can be looked at and commented on by MLAs. Thank you.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. Committee reports. The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Madam Speaker, I wish to present the 7th report of the Standing Committee on Legislative Affairs.
Your Standing Committee on Legislative
Dispense. The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Madam Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Midland, that the report of the committee be received.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Borderland, seconded by the Honourable Member for Midland, that the report of the committee be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. The Honourable Member for McPhillips.
Madam Speaker, I wish to present the 6th report of the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development.
Your Standing Committee on Social and
Dispense. The Honourable Member for McPhillips.
Madam Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Kildonan and River East, that the report of the committee be received.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Midland, seconded by the Honourable Member for Kildonan River East, that the report of the committee be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. Tabling of reports. And I'm going to just jump ahead with introduction of guests because I'm not sure how long the students are going to be in the gallery. So I would like to introduce to you, seated in the public gallery from Woodlawn School, 69 grade 3 to 4 students under the direction of Simi Gandhi. And this group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Steinbach. On behalf of all of us here, we welcome you to the Manitoba Legislature. Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage, and I would indicate that the required 90 minutes notice prior to routine proceedings was provided in accordance with Rule 27(2). Would the Honourable Minister please proceed with his statement?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to start today by the opportunity to welcome and congratulate our very own Winnipeg Sea Bears as they played their inaugural game day opener on Saturday, May 27th at Canada Life Centre to a sold-out crowd of over 7,200 people in attendance, which is the largest crowd in Canadian Elite Basketball League history ever. And the Sea Bears won a nail-biter victory against the Vancouver Bandits 90-85. Manitobans are passionate about sport, and basketball is no exception. With the best fans in the CFL for the Blue Bombers and the exciting whiteout parties for the Winnipeg Jets, Madam Speaker, we welcome the Sea Bears to Winnipeg, as basketball is the second fastest growing sport in the world. Bringing a professional team to Manitoba will strengthen the sport in this province and provide the potential for homegrown talent, just like Simon Hildebrandt and Chad Postumus, and many more to come. It will also provide an opportunity for community engagement with local basketball clubs to further promote the sport and develop interest amongst our youth, building skills like teamwork, communication, commitment, leadership, and so much more. Madam Speaker, as you and all Manitobans are aware, our government is so supportive of arts, culture, and sport organizations. So much so that our government created the ACSC fund by investing over $100 million over 2 years directly into these sectors. Our government was also proud to support the Winnipeg Sea Bears with funding of $450,000 over 3 years. Investments like this help raise the profile of amateur sports, just like basketball. But that's not the only benefit. Hosting a basketball professional team in Winnipeg not only provides quality family entertainment and boosts community engagement, it will also result in a massive economic benefit for our downtown, restaurants, bars, hotels, and so much more. This past weekend, downtown was filled with Manitobans enjoying pre-game festivals, eating at local restaurants, and shopping locally, just like I was, where I bought this beautiful Winnipeg Sea Bear sweatshirt at a local business far from ordinary. Madam Speaker, due to investments like this, the Sea Bears, the ACSC, downtown Winnipeg is coming back bigger and better than ever. Everyone in Canada knows Winnipeg has the best fans. Now they're going to know that the Winnipeg Sea Bears also have the best fans. I want to congratulate the Sea Bear organization, the players, the fans, for an amazing inaugural game. I can't wait to get out and watch the second game. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Union Station.
Madam Speaker, on Saturday I had the pleasure of cheering on the Winnipeg Sea Bears at their inaugural home game as they claimed their first win over the Vancouver Bandits and broke the league attendance record with over 7,000 fans in attendance. The Sea Bears, which are the 10th team in the Canadian Elite Basketball League, were first announced last November, and since then Winnipeggers have been eagerly anticipating the start of their season this spring. The Sea Bears spent a week at training camp prior to Saturday's game, and it was pretty clear that all their hard work paid off. Several members of our NDP team, staff, and our families were at the sold-out game on Saturday, and it was such an exciting event to be a part of. I want to give a special shout-out to Chad Postumus. He's a local basketball star from Winnipeg who also scored the game-winning basket. It was awesome to see that, Madam Speaker. I'm thrilled that the Sea Bears get to call Union Station their home, adding to the downtown Winnipeg entertainment scene this summer and well into the future. Winnipeggers are proud of our sports teams, and the Winnipeg Sea Bears are going to be a wonderful addition to basketball culture here in Winnipeg. Madam Speaker, basketball is a unifying sport, enjoyed by people from all walks of life. Thanks to the Sea Bears, Winnipeggers can cheer on our very own team this season. On behalf of our entire NDP team, I want to congratulate the Winnipeg Sea Bears on their amazing win and wish them all the best this season. Go Sea Bears, go.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Madam Speaker, I ask for leave to respond to the minister's statement.
Does the member have leave to respond to the ministerial statement? Leave has been granted. The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise this afternoon to recognize and congratulate the Winnipeg Sea Bears on their highly anticipated home opener. The Sea Bears won their inaugural game this past Saturday against the Vancouver Bandits in front of a sold-out crowd at the Canada Life Centre. The Winnipeg Sea Bears are the newest Canadian elite basketball team in the country, and it's evident by the sold-out game that there is much excitement for our hometown team and something that many basketball fans across the province have been eagerly awaiting for some time. And what's great about this is it only marks the beginning. This team's journey, and therefore Manitobans, can expect many more victories and memorable moments for many seasons to come. Madam Speaker, we should recognize those who have played an important role in bringing this brand new franchise to life, including coaches, players, and all the families. There's so much excitement for basketball fans, and it makes me feel very proud to call Manitoba home. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Members' statements. The honourable member for Midland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 1 week ago, May 22nd, was exactly 16 years since I was first elected as the MLA for Carman constituency. Prior to the general election of 2007, I was in a 2-year nomination contest, taking on a 20-year incumbent MLA, which I won with a 3-to-1 margin. I've been in 4 general elections with a total of 160 polling stations in those 4 elections. I have won all but 11 of those polling stations. My average polarity was 72%, not quite as good as the member from Steinbach, but not a bad average. There are only 9 members remaining who continue to serve from 2007. During my 16-year tenure, Carman Midland constituents have dug deep in their wallets to support the PC Party with over $500,000 in personal donations. Thank you to each and every one of them. I learned early on that personal face-to-face conversations with constituents was essential. First in Carman constituency and then in Midland constituency, their voices and opinions matter. I've worked hard to bring their voice to this chamber. It is a steep learning curve to work as an MLA. I have very much enjoyed the work, both in opposition and then as a cabinet minister in 3 different departments. Everyone from my caucus colleagues, caucus staff, the civil service, our security detail, and including the cleaning staff have made my legislative career a memorable experience. I look forward to spending time with family and the outdoors, away from the endless droning on of debates. Lastly, but most importantly, I thank my wife Diane and our family for their help and support in what can be a difficult position for them to be in. My success is due to them. Thank you.
The honourable member for Union Station.
Madam Speaker, the Rainbow Resource Centre in Winnipeg is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, marking half a century of dedicated service to the 2S LGBTQIA+ community in Manitoba. Established in 1973, the centre has been a safe haven for the queer community, providing essential support for those who have otherwise been marginalized and isolated. Over the past 5 decades, Rainbow Resource Centre has grown to meet the needs of an ever-evolving community. Their amazing current programming and services include free short-term counseling, youth-specific programs, the Over the Rainbow 55+ program, as well as a plethora of diverse volunteer-run social support groups. The Centre has always strived to be a welcoming and affirming place for people of all genders, sexual orientations, and identities, and it has been instrumental in advancing the basic human rights of 2S LGBTQ+ folks and visibility of those communities in Manitoba. Their ongoing efforts to make the Centre more inclusive and to meet the needs of our evolving community are reflected in historic achievements. Just this past year, the Rainbow Resource Centre has begun the development of an affordable housing for 2S LGBTQIA+ seniors. The first of its kind in Canada, this 21-unit housing project is the product of a three-way partnership between RRC, Westminster Housing Society, and the West Broadway Community Organization. Just this month, they moved into Union Station. I'm very excited about that, to the historic Wilson House at 545 Broadway, right beside the new development of the site. As the Rainbow Resource Center marks this milestone anniversary, it's important to celebrate the incredible impact they've had and continue to have on all of our communities. The center's legacy is a testament to the power of activism, community care, and the vital importance of creating spaces where marginalized and targeted voices can be heard and uplifted. By providing essential services, education, advocacy, and now affordable housing, RRC will continue to empower Manitoba's 2S LGBTQIA+ communities to live their lives to the fullest while working towards a more inclusive and equitable society for all. Please join me in congratulating the Rainbow Resource Center on this momentous occasion as we have the Executive Director, Noreen Meehan, and guests from RRC joining us today. Here's to another 50 years of transformative work. Thank you.
Right on.
The honourable member for Union Station.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask for leave to have the names of the guests who are joining Noreen from Rainbow Resource Center admitted to Hansard.
Those names will be admitted to Hansard. The honourable member for Dauphin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm extremely pleased with the recent investments that our Manitoba government has announced for many communities within my constituency of Dauphin. Through the Building Sustainable Communities program, investments in community enable them to thrive and continue to offer a high quality of life in our beautiful region. Some of these investments include the Alonza and District Recreation Co-op improvements to their rec center. In Dauphin, the Watson Arts Center, the Dauphin and District Snowmobile Club, Dauphin and District Handy Van, Dauphin Country Fest, Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal Corporation Community Resource Center, the Dauphin Recreational Ice Plant, and last but not least, the Mamawi Park Phase 2. In Gilbert Plains, upgrades to the Community Country Club Golf Course and the Gilbert Plains Recreational Complex. Other investments include in the region, Granby's Kinsman Club Wilson Park and Senior Drop-In Center, the Mallard Community Hall improvements in Waterhen, the McCreary Golf and Country Club Clubhouse and Municipality of McCreary Rec Facility upgrades, the Municipality of Lakeshore Ochre River Hall improvements, the Municipality of Mossy River Winnipegosa's Beach Area Renewal, Arena and Curling Club upgrades, and in Manitoba's cattle capital, St. Rose Recreation Commission's Turtle River Trail received Phase 2 funding. Madam Speaker, it's always has been my tremendous pleasure and honor to serve my constituency and to acknowledge these recipients and the very much deserving communities of the Dauphin constituency who continue so much or who contribute so much to our great province of Manitoba. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Fort Garry.
Small, locally run businesses are a key part of what makes Manitoba economically and culturally vibrant. Today, I'm honored to recognize one of these small business owners, Tanis Dandino, the owner of Chestnut Lane Boutique, a women's clothing store here in Winnipeg. Tanis opened her first boutique in Stonewall before moving to her current location, Winnipeg, in 2003. 20 years later, her expertly curated boutique strives to be Winnipeg's top fashion provider. With designer clothing sourced from collections across North America, Tanis uses her expertise and extensive knowledge to help her clients build wardrobes to suit their style and needs. Her personalized styling services set her business apart. By keeping track of her clients' tastes and preferences, Tanis helps women find clothing that fits their lifestyle and look. And in the process, she has formal, close relationships with many of her clients. This personal service is a key component of what has made Chestnut Lane Boutique so successful. Tanis offers personal shopping appointments for her clients where she assembles selections for them to choose from based on their style and preferences. She even sends clients pictures of items that might interest them. In order to be able to offer such a wide range of styles and designers, Tanis attends fashion shows across North America to hand-select pieces that will best suit her clients. Whether they're looking for high-end designer or contemporary ready-to-wear clothing, Tanis always has something at Chestnut Lane Boutique for everyone. And she is always ready to welcome new clients in the relaxed and comfortable setting at the boutique. Tanis is here with us today. Please join me in congratulating her for 20 years of providing amazing personal service and fashion expertise at Chestnut Lane Boutique.
The Honourable Member for Rossmere.
Madam Speaker, I rise to thank the many Rossmere residents who have successfully partnered with my constituency office to obtain nearly $1.5 million to improve our area. Many of these people would consider themselves unremarkable, but I can attest firsthand that it is their remarkable care and dedication that have blessed our neighbourhoods and those who live in them with a variety of upgrades, projects, and community initiatives. Some 16 often small and unknown groups have benefited from Green Team and other grants for seniors programs, community kitchens, refugee children's summer clubs, youth sports, performing arts, shared neighbourhood gardens, kids camps, and school playgrounds, to name but a few. Phoenix Soccer now boasts some of Winnipeg's best outdoor turf, and I was recently honoured to attend a weekend-long 52-team soccer tournament hosted on the club's multiple outdoor pitches. Gateway Recreational Centre has also been a go-to sports and community hub for decades, and recently received a grant for equipment needed for its indoor rinks to continue offering hockey and other ice sports to area kids, youth, and families. Many other organizations have successfully applied for funding for projects of many kinds, big and small. This is all part of our government's commitment to grassroots community organizations. I'm honored to have helped so many good people accomplish so many good things for our community, and I know that there are many more good things to come. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And as is our tradition, when our pages are coming to the end of their term, I'm going to introduce to you Kai Jasal. In the months ahead, Kai Jasal will be leaving Manitoba, headed to the Atlantic to attend Dalhousie University. He'll be pursuing a degree in political science with the hopes of becoming a journalist. As he writes, "My friends, I want to thank you for the past 9 months. This job has been a dream job for me. You've all been so nice, and I've learned a whole lot about the legislative process. I wish you all the best of luck this fall." And from all of us, Kai, all the best in your future endeavors. We wish you the very best. Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Just a few months ago, doctors at the Misericordia Sleep Centre resigned from the Premier's task force because their proposals were being ignored. The Premier rejected their plan that they put forward that would have seen us invest in public health care here in Manitoba. Now, by way of rejecting those proposals, the Stephenson government said, and I quote, they were being rejected because, quote, minimal private sector involvement, end quote, was involved. That's wrong. Of course, that's putting politics ahead of patients. We think the Premier should be listening to doctors who work at the bedside and not searching for profits for private companies. Will the Premier tell the House if her government will stop rejecting proposals for sleep specialists at the Misericordia?
The Honourable First Minister.
Speaker, I first of all want to correct the record. The Leader of the Opposition continues to put false information on the record in this chamber, Madam Speaker. That's unfortunate, but as long as he continues to put false information on, we'll correct the record, Madam Speaker. I want to also thank the Diagnostic and Surgical Recovery Task Force for the incredible work that they are doing. They're looking at proposals all across the board, Madam Speaker, to ensure that Manitobans get those surgical and diagnostic procedures when they need it. Proposals both in the public and private sector, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we are not putting ideology first, that we are putting patient care first, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
I just want to encourage the Premier to stop besmirching her own government. It was the words of her own government, the Stephenson government, that I read there on the record when they rejected the sleep docs proposals because of, quote, minimal private sector involvement, end quote. Now, we've seen that the Premier has now asked private sector companies to bid on this same work. I'll table the documents, which come from the RFQP, really rolls off the tongue. Now, instead of listening to the sleep docs, they are now going to the private sector to farm out the same work that these local Manitoba experts had solutions for that would have put people to work right here in our province. They're choosing to cut, they're choosing to privatize, they're choosing to ignore those who work at the front lines. Will the Premier tell the House why her government is ignoring proposals to improve health care at the Misericordia Sleep Centre?
The Honourable First Minister.
The accusations by the Leader of the Opposition are simply false, Madam Speaker. The Diagnostic Surgical Recovery Task Force is doing incredible work, ensuring that they're looking at all proposals that are brought forward, Madam Speaker, and we will continue to allow that to move forward. What I will say is the only people that are preventing Manitobans from wanting to get the health care that they need would be the NDP, Madam Speaker. They would have denied almost 36 or over 36,000 Manitobans from getting health care just because those were contracted out in the private sector, Madam Speaker. We believe that it was the right thing to do to make sure that those 36,000 individuals got the health care that they need when they need it. We will not put ideology before health care first.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary.
Madam Speaker, when it comes to preventing people from accessing health care, that's what the Premier has done. Right back to her time serving under Brian Pallister, where she was a failed health minister. Again, we're talking about some of the exact same patients. They cut the funding to the Misericordia Hospital. Hospital funding for Misericordia went down. They also cut public coverage for CPAP machines. CPAP machines used to be covered under the Special Drugs Program. This government eliminated it entirely. And now what are they doing? They're ignoring advice for improving public health care at the MIS from the local experts, world-class experts, I would add, who've brought forward public solutions. Sounds like ideology trumping health care to me. Now today, we see the final explanation why. They're asking private companies to now bid on this same work. How does the Premier explain cutting public health services only to turn around and privatize them with the same breath?
The Honourable First Minister.
Madam Speaker, again, I don't even know where to begin with the litany of false accusations by the Leader of the Opposition. Once again, Madam Speaker, day in, day out, the Leader of the Opposition and members opposite get up in this chamber and they put false information on the record. Well, we will continue to correct the record for Manitobans so that they know that we are not taking an ideological approach, Madam Speaker, when it comes to health care in our province. We are ensuring that Manitobans get the health care, surgical and diagnostic procedures and they get when they need it, Madam Speaker. That's why we opened it up for 36,000 Manitobans who are waiting and paying for surgical and diagnostic procedures, Madam Speaker. 36,000 Manitobans where they were contracted out. Again, it was paid for by Manitoba Health, Madam Speaker.
That's right.
Under the NDP, those 36,000 Manitobans would still be waiting and paying today. Shame on them.
Hey!
Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a
helping
new
hand
question.
You know, another area where the Stephenson government, just like Brian Pallister, is taking money from the public purse and giving it away to the private sector is in education. For a long time, we've called on this government to stop handing out checks to out-of-province billionaires. When pressed on the matter, we know that the Premier simply chooses to distract, deflect, and ignore. But everybody in Manitoba hears about a $110,000 check for Walmart, headquartered in the States, taken from money that should be going to help fund education in Manitoba, and Manitobans simply shake their heads. Can the Premier explain why she thinks that $110,000 should not be spent supporting Manitoba students and should instead be sent to the very wealthy family that owns the Denver Broncos?
The Honourable First Minister.
Well, Madam Speaker, I appreciate any question from the Leader of the Opposition when it comes to the historic investments that we are making in our education system in the province of Manitoba. More than 6.1% increase, over $100 million last year alone, a 23% increase since 2016, Madam Speaker. That's more money for education, not less. So when the Leader of the Opposition continues to stand in this House and put false information on the record, over $100 million more this year alone, why did he vote against it, Madam Speaker?
Hey.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
We vote against the budget because it's a confidence motion, and we do not have confidence in this government or this Premier. $110,000 would go a long way to help Manitoba school kids. When we're talking about local education, $110,000 means more educational assistance to help kids with those additional needs. $110,000 could pay for 110,000 pieces of food to help feed young people who are going to school hungry right now in communities like Brandon East, where their member is heckling right now instead of standing up for school children. On this side of the House, we'll always stand against the checks for billionaires and stand up for Manitoba school kids. Like it.
I am going to have to call the member for Brandon East to order, please, so that we can properly hear what is being said on the floor. The Honourable First Minister.
Well, Madam Speaker, actions speak louder than words. The Leader of the Opposition tries to deny, I guess, that he voted against the budget. Now he thinks maybe he should have voted in favor of the budget. I guess he's not sure. But the fact of the matter is, all members opposite voted against a budget that had historic investments in our education system in the province of Manitoba. A 6.1% increase, Madam Speaker, over $100 million this year alone, Madam Speaker, and the members opposite, this is the facts for all Manitobans, the members opposite voted against that. Shame on them.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary.
We'll just continue on with the facts that we're dropping on this government here today and point out that Loblaws earned $426 million in profit in just the first 3 months of this year. Now, the Premier heard that and decided to send them a check for $327,000 more dollars. That's money that, of course, was taken from revenues that should have been going to public schools here in the province. Now, in those same first 3 months of the year, Walmart, which is the subject of the day here, and I'll invite the Premier to make specific reference to this company in her answer, they announced that they earned $141 billion in top-line revenue. That's just in the first 3 months of the year. The Premier decided to send this company $110,000. On this side of the House, we say that's wrong. These billionaires don't need it. They didn't ask for it. the PCs still keep sending them the checks. Will the Premier tell the House why she insists on giving them corporate welfare instead of funding public schools in Manitoba properly?
Order. The Honourable First Minister.
Madam Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition wants to pick and choose winners and losers in our business community, we will stand up for all businesses in our business community, Madam Speaker. When it comes to the education tax rebate, Madam Speaker, John Graham from the Retail Council of Canada said, and I quote, arbitrarily determining who receives a rebate on taxes they pay based on who owns a company or the size of their contributions to Manitoba's economy not only undermines the importance of fairness and trust, it's simply bad tax policy. Tax rebates allow retailers to lower prices, create jobs, and invest in their businesses. We stand by all businesses in Manitoba, not just some.
The Honourable Member for Union Station.
Farewell speeches this week, eh? Wow.
The Honourable Member for Union Station.
Madam Speaker, congenital cytomegalovirus, commonly known to most people as CMV, can cause hearing loss, vision loss, and reduced motor skills in children. Fortunately, CMV can be treated if newborns are screened at the earliest opportunity, usually before 21 days of age. But Manitoba does not currently screen for CMV in newborns, and that's why I introduced Bill 226 to ensure that newborns can be screened for CMV and get the treatment they need as early as possible. But this PC government so far has refused to support it. Will the Premier do the right thing and commit to passing Bill 226 today?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, last week in the House, the member for St. John said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So we're going to remind Manitobans about yesterday's NDP and what they can expect from today's NDP, Madam Speaker. I want to table for the House an article that clearly lays out the newer NDP members and how badly, for the newer NDP members, how badly they ran Manitoba's healthcare system. In the article, it says, Manitoba gets poor grade in Canadian Health Report. Manitoba ranks near the bottom of a report card on the state of Canada's health system. Madam Speaker, the Conference Board of Canada report, which looks at disease rates, obesity, infant mortality, because we're talking about infants.
The member's time has expired. The Honourable Member for Union Station. The Honourable Member for Union Station.
Madam Speaker, when CMV is not caught early enough, it can have devastating consequences for infants, children, and their families. That's why early screening newborns is really, really important. Advocates like Winnipeg Father Rob Totrotte have been calling on this PC government for years to start screening for CMV, but this government hasn't been listening to Rob and many other families. Bill 226 would protect children by allowing for early screening, which can lead to faster treatment and better health outcomes for newborns. Passing this bill into law is simply the right thing to do. Will the Premier and the Health Minister make that commitment to Manitoba families today?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, let's talk about the NDP's failing grade on infant mortality. The Conference Board of Canada report that I tabled looked at disease rates, obesity, infant mortality, and other health indicators and gave Manitoba NDPs a D grade, Madam Speaker. They showed us who they are, and today's NDP is exactly the same.
The The honourable member for Union Station on a final supplementary.
Madam Speaker, this is a really important issue across Canada and especially here in Manitoba. CMV is the #1 non-genetic cause of hearing loss in children. 1 in 100 infants are infected with CMV, and of those infected, 1 in 5 will have a permanent disability. And yet this PC government has failed to listen to advocates who've been calling for newborn screening. This is unacceptable, Madam Speaker. Manitoba families deserve an answer before legislation ends this week. They deserve an answer from this Premier and this Health Minister today. The Premier has the power to improve outcomes for children regarding CMV by passing Bill 226. Will she commit to doing that today?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, the member for Union Station has failed advocates of CMV. They have also failed this House in terms of making them aware of the process for bills to pass through the Legislature. Madam Speaker, last week I committed to sitting down with the member for Union Station to discuss the bill, even after emailing and offering to meet with the member. What did they do? They didn't show up.
The honourable member for Transcona. Order. 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 I'm going to have to call the member for St. John's and the Minister of Health to order. The honourable member for Transcona.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Example after example across Canada has shown that the P3 model has failed kids, families, and communities. Even former Premier Brian Pallister had to agree. That's why they abandoned the P3 model back in 2018. But now the PCs have flip-flopped without any justification or explanation as to why they're using a P3 process. Schools using the P3 model cost taxpayers more and have a host of other problems. It's well documented throughout the country. You can read the reports, they are right there. So can the Premier, Madam Speaker, explain why she's committed to using a P3 process despite knowing they'll cost taxpayers more money?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister for Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Madam Speaker, I'm truly puzzled by the member opposite. You know, I've been outdoor knocking, talking to constituents, and when I remind them that we're building schools, not just the 20 schools that we committed to in the last election, but 3 additional schools, bringing it to a total of 23, that's what we're doing, they're excited. When they find out that we're building a beautiful school right in River East Transcona, they're excited. When they find out about all the amazing renovation work that we're doing to build schools in our area and across this province, they're excited. Why does the member not want new schools to be built in this province?
The honourable member for Transcona on a supplementary question.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. The PCs can't be trusted when it comes to public education. When this very minister was asked who would own the buildings after the construction, he couldn't even provide an answer for that. Madam Speaker, they said they will work the details out later. Can you imagine that right now? Work the details out and trust this government to work the details out later. But now they're committed to using this P3 process yet again without justification. Can the Premier finally explain why she is committed to using a debunked P3 process when they know it'll cost taxpayers more?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister for Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Madam Speaker, it beggars belief what this member of Transcona will put on the record here. He knows full well that I am on the record as saying that these schools will be owned by the public. They will be publicly owned schools. They will be operated by the school division, much like every other school in existence. What they will not be is neglected, like the schools that were under the previous NDP government, where hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of necessary maintenance was left undone by the previous administration. Shame on them.
The honourable member for Transcona on a final supplementary.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker.
Order.
Imagine in 2018 contracting out KPMG to file a report that says the P3 process is flawed.
That's right.
And you talk about wasting money. This member needs to apologize to every member in this chamber right now for making that statement.
That's right.
Even Brian Pallister, Madam Speaker, couldn't deny that P3s were a bad process. But now this Premier is recycling that old idea yet again. Can the Premier provide a logical, coherent explanation for using the P3 process?
Yeah, that's right.
The Honourable Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Madam Speaker, it's just this simple. We are committed to building schools. We said we'd build 20. We said we'd build 20, but we're going to build 23. We said we'd build them by 2029. Well, we're going to get them built by 2027. 2 years ahead of schedule, 3 additional schools. That is getting results. When I talk to people at the door in Transcona and in Radisson, and I tell them that the member opposite, the member for Transcona, is against the plan to build 9 new schools, they react with dismay, with disgust, and with disbelief that they react that way because this member disregards the opinions of trustees, of parents, and of students.
The member's time has expired. The honourable member for Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The PC government recently appointed former PC cabinet minister Jim McRae as a civil member to a committee that selects people to work as judicial officers in our court system. And for the past 6 years, he was appointed chair of the Social Services Appeal Board. That's chilling. Because at the same time, he was writing hurtful articles with titles like Another Fraudulent Indigenous List, in which he tries to argue that the number of deaths of children in residential school is exaggerated. I'll table the article, Madam Speaker. Can the Premier explain why she is appointing residential school deniers to important government positions?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
This government has a strong record when it comes to reconciliation, Madam Speaker. Just in the next day or so, we'll be debating a provincial offences bill that has been long advocated for by MKO, that was never done under a previous government when it comes to the individual. Clearly, we do not support the views that he has expressed, Madam Speaker, and they don't represent government.
The honourable member for Thompson on a supplementary question.
Residential school deniers like former Tory Cabinet Minister Jim McRae should have no place in Manitoba government. Yet the PCs have appointed him to multiple important boards and committees. This while he's writing articles attacking the Truth and Reconciliation Commission with titles like Seeking the Truth About Residential Schools. I'll table the document. This is from last August, Madam Speaker. It's hard to believe the PCs don't know about McRae's writings. Will this Premier tell the House if anyone bothered to read McRae's writings before his appointment?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
I've already outlined some of the record when it comes to this government and our strong commitment to reconciliation. I've already indicated to the member that this government does not support the views of Mr. McRae. Madam Speaker, I've indicated that we're taking steps even in this session when it comes to reconciliation. And we took action. When the former government had accusations come to their caucus, they said nothing and they slipped it under the carpet. We've actually taken action when concerns come forward.
The honourable member for Thompson on a final supplementary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Jim McRae's history of residential school denialism is well documented. In fact, he's published multiple articles on the subject, including 2 just in the last 6 months. These articles downplay the terrible history of residential schools and claim the number of people who died at residential schools is inflated, and also questions the truth behind the stories of survivors. Despite these racist writings, the PCs have appointed him to multiple important boards. Will the Premier apologize for his appointment to the House and to Manitobans today?
Yep. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Clearly the member indicates that he has known about these writings for a long time and known about the boards that the member that Mr. McRae served on, yet he didn't raise these issues before. Madam Speaker, we've indicated that we do not support the views of Mr. McRae. We indicated that they are not representative of government, and absolutely, I apologize personally for the harm and the hurt that they've caused.
The Honourable Member for Notre Dame.
Madam Speaker, while Manitobans are facing a crushing cost of living crisis, this government wants to cut the wages of apprentices. Apprentice wages are tied to minimum wage, and apprentices were expecting an increase this fall. But this PC government suddenly launched a review blindsiding apprentices with the possibility of cuts. If wages aren't competitive, workers are going to leave the province to be paid fairly somewhere else. Will the minister confirm whether or not these workers can expect a wage increase this fall?
The Honourable Minister for Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I can assure the member opposite that certainly the recent increases on the planned increases to minimum wage will be respected. But speaking of affordability, I can tell you that it's the NDP who will always be counted on to raise your taxes. They won't tell you they will, but they certainly will get it done. They said they would not raise the PST. They raised the PST. They went after countless other small tax increases here, there, and everywhere. They tripled our provincial debt. They made billions of dollars of promises with no plan to pay for it. That hurts affordability for all Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Notre Dame on a supplementary question.
Madam Speaker, the cost of groceries keeps going up. Manitoba has the highest food inflation rates among all the provinces, but this Premier doesn't care about the workers, families, and apprentices who build our province. This PC government has cut apprenticeship funding by 43% since 2016, and they weakened safety protections by cutting apprenticeship ratios. Young people want to plan for the future and grow their careers here in Manitoba, but the PC government cuts are chasing them away. Will the minister stop cutting apprentice wages today?
The Honourable Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Madam Speaker, I can assure the members opposite that we very much value apprentices and all tradespeople in our province, and we want to encourage more people to get into the trades and more people to find ways to make good income here in the trades in Manitoba, helping to grow our economy, because growing our economy is what helps fund government programs. That's what pays for the huge increase to healthcare funding in this year's budget. That's what pays for the huge increase to education funding. Economic growth is the principal pinnacle of Manitoba's success. It's why we've had success so far. It's why we're going to continue to have success. And in order to continue to do that, we need to have a PC government in power, not just today, but for 4 years and beyond.
The Honourable Member for Notre Dame on a final supplementary.
Will the PC caucus
Order.
Well, the PC caucus sure does have a funny way of showing their appreciation to apprentices. They've refused to say whether or not they're going to be cutting apprenticeship wages this fall. Right. This Premier and her whole PC caucus are very much out of touch with regular Manitobans. Apprentice wages are tied to the minimum wage, but this government launched a review to consider cuts at a time when Manitobans can least afford it. We also have a skilled labor shortage, but the PC government is actively discouraging workers from staying here in Manitoba. On this side of the House, we think that that's the wrong approach. Workers deserve an answer. Will this minister change course and stop the cuts to apprenticeship wages today?
The Honourable Minister for Consumer Protection and Government Services.
I can appreciate the member opposite doesn't understand working with a caucus that says they're going to do something and then actually does it, but that's what we have on this side of the House. We said we would lower the PST, we lowered the PST. We said we would reduce income taxes, we've reduced income taxes with a huge increase to the basic personal exemption and all other tax brackets coming January. We said we would increase education property tax rebates, started at zero a few years back, now they're all the way up to 50%. Everybody in Winnipeg, every homeowner in Winnipeg is going to get a check sometime in the month of June if all goes according to plan with Canada Post, and that is keeping our promises. That is getting things done. We have saved over $5,000 for the average family in Manitoba. That's a government that gets things done.
The honourable member for St. Boniface.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We've been getting warnings about issues with rural paramedics in Manitoba for years. The plan to train advanced paramedics that was promised 5 years ago never materialized because this government didn't actually create the positions. And paramedics have not received a raise since then. We know rural paramedics are leaving for other provinces where they're appreciated, and we've been hearing for months that they're burning out and are short-staffed. Now we're heading into summer where cottage communities are going to explode in size. There are communities whose winter population might be a few hundred and who go up to thousands over a weekend. This government refused to even start negotiations for years. Why have critically important rural frontline health workers been shut out of 5 years of raises by this government?
The Honourable Minister for Consumer Protection and Government Services.
I thank the member opposite for the question. I think he knows full well that that government is not the employer here in this particular situation, but we certainly are hopeful that the negotiations that do continue between the employer and the union will come to a conclusion, and that hopefully will happen soon. Now, what I will say is that every health care collective agreement that's been arrived at under this government, and there have been many, every single one of them included a retroactive pay. Every single one of them included compounding increases. There's no reason to expect that that would not be the case here. That's certainly what the message to rural paramedics should be. And I can say again, as I said last week, we very much value the work of those healthcare heroes. We love our paramedics across this province, rural and urban. Thank you.
The honourable member for St. Boniface on a supplementary question.
It's not love they need, Madam Speaker, it's a raise. Rural paramedics told us they make $10 less an hour than in Winnipeg, and they're understaffed, and people are leaving the province because the other provinces are offering better pay. City paramedics also have challenges, but rural paramedics have special ones because it's not just a 10 or 15 or 20-minute trip to the hospital. It could be an hour, 90 minutes or more, keeping people alive. They've been waiting for contracts and a raise and opportunities for advancement for 5 and 6 years. This government has delivered nothing for them. It is clear that frontline rural health professionals are not a priority for this government. Why not?
The Honourable Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm a little bit saddened that the Liberals seem to have taken a page out of the NDP handbook here and continue to bring up this matter at this table when really the conversations need to be happening at the negotiating table. That's the way union negotiations should be working between the employer and the union. We certainly wouldn't hope, or I would hope that the leader of the Liberal Party is not attempting to destabilize bargaining by interfering or suggesting that we should interfere in any way.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Financial literacy is such a wonderful tool that all Manitobans should have access to, and that is why we're concerned that this government's plan to implement a pilot project to improve money management in Manitoba is being formed with a business based in North Vancouver. It's extremely ironic to be discussing financial literacy and to have a government claim that they want to invest in our province, yet then choose to outsource outside of the province to a private company. Will this government bring business to Manitoba, reconsider this partnership, perhaps even with the Credit Counselling Society, a local charity, for the pilot project?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague from the Liberal Party for the question. Very important question on financial literacy, Madam Speaker. 17 years of the dark days under the NDP, they never thought once to maybe bring in a program to help teach our students about financial literacy, Madam Speaker. This is a pilot project. We are partnering with Enriched Academy, who has a proven track record on delivering this program. It's a tool. It's a tool in the toolbox for teachers so that they can supplement their curriculum that they're doing on financial literacy, Madam Speaker. I think it's a great step forward, something that the K-12 Commission on Education called for. We're acting. As one of my other colleagues said, we're doing what we're saying that we're doing, unlike the NDP, which is built on a campaign of fear, anger, and envy, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
The honourable member for Portage Prairie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Immigration to Manitoba is a key priority of our government, and newcomer settlements organizations play a vital role in providing a range of programs and services for these newcomers. Can the Minister of Labour and Immigration enlighten us as to what our government is doing to financially support newcomer organizations working with new immigrants to build the social and economic fabric of our province?
The Honourable Minister of Labour and Immigration.
Madam Speaker, I was pleased to announce $4 million in funding to 24 newcomer settlement organizations to help newcomers settle and integrate into all communities throughout Manitoba, the home of hope. A total of $7.1 million was provided this fiscal year. $3 million to Manitoba Start, $120,000 to Seed Winnipeg, and the $4 million in funding will help newcomer groups offer programs and services such as language training, employment and job search, and community-based initiatives. Our government supports the social and economic integration of newcomers to Manitoba, and this funding will go a long way. Madam Speaker, not surprisingly, today's NDP and even the Liberals voted against newcomer settlement support funding in this year's budget. Shame on them. Under a PC government, Manitoba will always be the home of hope for newcomers. Action, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Order. The honourable member for Kuwait-Nook.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indigenous communities, Manitoba fishers, conservationists, and local residents are worried about the potential impacts of quagga mussels on Lake Winnipeg. Much like zebra mussels, quagga mussels are an invasive species that clog up fishing boats, nets, and ropes. Quagga mussels have already overtaken zebra mussels as the most invasive species in the Great Lakes. It's likely the same will happen in Manitoba without early intervention. What will the PC government do to prevent quagga mussels from damaging Manitoba's ecosystems?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Northern Development.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Our government certainly takes the issue of aquatic invasive species seriously. That's why we're leading the fight against AIS here in the province. We have established requirements for all surface water users to prevent the spread. Moreover, we have implemented measures to address the threat, such as funding for education, increased signage on highways and major roadways leading to lakes, and investing in more watercraft inspection stations at strategic locations this year.
The honourable member for Kuwait-Nook on a supplementary question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Commercial fishers are warning this government about the potential devastating impact of quagga mussels in Manitoba lakes. Robert Christensen, a generational fisher who earned the Order of Manitoba in 2018 for raising awareness of algae blooms, says he's concerned the PC government is not doing enough to stop quagga mussels from hitching a ride and invading and devastating our lakes. This PC government's most recent update on aquatic invasive species did not even mention quagga mussels. Will the minister commit to taking early action to prevent the spread of quagga mussels here in Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Northern Development.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. It was the NDP's inaction on aquatic invasive species that has had significant consequences for our environment and our economy. Unlike the members opposite, combating AIS is a priority for this government, which is why we're in the process of creating a committee consisting of experts from a variety of fields to develop effective prevention and control strategies moving forward. Where they failed, we're going to address the problem.
The time for oral questions has expired, and I have a ruling for the House. Following the prayer and land acknowledgement on April 26, 2023, the Honourable Member for Union Station raised a matter of privilege regarding comments made by the Honourable Minister for Education and Early Childhood Learning. The member referenced the fact that during oral questions on April 25, 2023, the minister stated that the leader of the official opposition, and I quote, seems to stand in this house on a day-to-day basis pretending to be some kind of actor. He's no Adam Beach, end quote. The Honourable Member for Union Station contended that this was a disrespectful and demeaning remark made with a racial connotation regarding the leader of the official opposition. The member stated that language like this interferes with and prevents MLAs from doing their jobs, and as a result breaches their privileges as members of this House. The member concluded their remarks by moving that the House call on the Minister of Education to apologize immediately and to fully and unconditionally retract his remarks. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning spoke to the matter of privilege, offering a conditional apology while disputing the member's allegations. The Honourable Member for River Heights also spoke to the matter before I took it under advisement. As members know, there are two conditions that must be satisfied in order for a matter raised to be ruled in order as a prima facie case of privilege. Was the issue raised at the earliest opportunity, and was sufficient evidence provided to support the member's claim that their privileges or the privileges of the House were breached? In their submission on this matter, the Honourable Member for Union Station indicated that this was their earliest opportunity to raise this matter in the House, and I accept the member's word on that point. On the second condition of whether the member provided sufficient evidence to support a prima facie case of privilege, there are several factors to consider. In raising this matter, the Honourable Member for Union Station shared some salient points about the importance of the privilege of free speech in this House, as well as the limitations of free speech. I would expand on those points by referencing a passage from page 92 of the third edition of House of Commons Procedure and Practice. Freedom of speech permits members to speak freely in the chamber during a sitting or in committees during meetings while enjoying complete immunity from prosecution or civil liability for any comment they might make. This freedom is essential for the effective working of the House. In ruling on a question of privilege in 1984, Speaker Bosley affirmed that, and I quote, "The privilege of a member of Parliament when speaking in the House or in a committee is absolute, and that it would be very difficult to find that any statement made under the cloak of parliamentary privilege constituted a violation of that privilege," end quote. I am concerned about the comments made by the Honourable Minister for Education and Early Childhood Learning, and I can understand how they caused offence and triggered concerns about racialization. However, I am also mindful of these comments from Speaker Bosley. In my opinion, the Minister's comments were misguided and hurtful, but I do not believe they form the basis of a breach of privilege in this context, and I would therefore rule that a prima facie case of privilege was not established in this case. This is not to say at all that I condone the Minister's comments. You have all heard me state in this House that as a group we should be doing better, and in my opinion, this was not an example of better behavior. It is unfortunately ironic that on the very day that matter was raised, I ruled on a previous matter of privilege where I affirmed the need for better and more respectful decorum between members. Echoing those sentiments on pages 97 and 98 of the third edition of House of Commons Procedure and Practice, it is noticed that in 1987, Speaker Perrant emphasized the need for members to use great care in exercising their right to speak freely in the House. And he said, paramount to our political and parliamentary systems is the principle of freedom of speech, a member's right to stand in this House unhindered to speak his or her mind. However, when debate in the House centers on sensitive issues, as it often does, I would expect that members would always bear in mind the possible effects of their statements and hence be prudent in their tone and choice of words. I would urge the Honourable Minister for Education and Early Childhood Learning and all members to bear these sentiments in mind when speaking in this place. Regarding the issue of comments made in this House that could be considered racist, I would again urge caution and counsel all members to be respectful in their remarks in debate. We should all be sensitive to the fact that our society's history is crowded with examples of racialized remarks and actions causing great pain and hardship to many, many people. There is absolutely no need for any further such remarks being shared in this chamber. Finally, I would like to address the comments made by the Honourable Minister for Education and Early Childhood Learning when he was responding to the Honourable Member for Union Station, raising this matter of privilege on April 26, 2023. Rather than apologizing unequivocally, the Minister chose to dispute the matter, and in my opinion, he made the situation worse with more insensitive comments. In the future, I would encourage members to make such apologies unequivocally. Thank you for your attention to this ruling. Petitions. The Honourable Member for Notre Dame.
Madam Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, these are the reasons for this petition. Number 1, in 2022, after consultation with industry members, the provincial government mandated the first construction industry minimum wage increase since 2017. Number 2, construction industry minimum wages for the majority of the industrial, commercial, and the institutional sector will increase by 14% from 2022 to 2024. Number 3, these wage increases were necessary to catch up with inflation from the lack of increases since 2017 and to maintain pace with inflation for the next 3 years. However, heat and frost insulators will only receive an 8.91% increase from 2022 to 2024, despite insulators experiencing the same cost of living increases as other trades. Number 5, this lower wage increase will make it more difficult to attract and retain skilled professionals to the heat and frost insulator trade, which will be to the detriment of the construction industry as a whole. Number 6, the 8.91% wage increases will mean that over 300 heat and frost insulators working in Manitoba will lose roughly $3,578 per year when compared to a 14% increase. Number 7, this lower wage increase is unfair and harms heat and frost insulators and the trade as a whole. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to modify the construction industry minimum wage schedule to implement a 14% increase to the heat and frost insulator trade to reflect a wage of $34.23 in 2024. This has been signed by Peter Nunoda, Lorraine Spence, Julie Diaffe, and many Manitobans.
In accordance with our Rule 133, bracket 6, when petitions are read, they are deemed to be received by the House. The Honourable Member for Elmwood.
Madam Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly. The background of this petition is as follows. Number 1, the spike in catalytic converter thefts occurring across North America has hit Winnipeg. The price of precious metals, catalytic converters like rhodium, palladium, and platinum are worth thousands of dollars an ounce. Scrap metal recyclers have catalytic converters priced to the vehicle, with some catalytic converters worth $800. Number 2, organized groups of criminals are climbing under vehicles and cutting catalytic converters and selling them to scrap metal recyclers for cash without any record of these transactions. Number 3, catalytic converter thefts cost consumers about $2,000 for each replacement. Manitoba Public Insurance charges a betterment fee for new replacements, so insurance doesn't cover the full cost. Number 4, catalytic converters do not have any part number or vehicle identification number, VIN, and the inability to tie catalytic converter to a specific vehicle is a major enforcement issue. Number 5, engraving of a vehicle's VIN on its catalytic converter would be a major deterrent to theft by tying the vehicle to the part and making enforcement possible. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to bring in consumer protection legislation directing Manitoba Public Insurance to initiate credits to Manitobans for engraving vehicle identification numbers on their catalytic converters. And this petition is signed by many Manitobans.
Are there any further petitions? Seeing no petitions, grievances? Orders of the day, government business. The Honorable Deputy Government House Leader, Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I have two leave requests. First is there leave to call the following bills for concurrence and third reading today, despite the fact these bills have either just been reported to the House today or do not appear on today's order paper. 230, 231, 233, 235, 239, 229, 240, 242, 244, 218, 222, 227, 241, 238. And also, is there leave to not see the clock today until the consideration of all the bills I just listed for concurrence and third reading, plus committee stage and concurrence and third reading of Bill 204 have been concluded?
Is there leave to call the following bills for concurrence and third reading today, despite the fact that these bills have either been reported to the House today or do not appear on today's order paper? 230, 231, 233, 235, 239, 229, 240, 242, 244, 218, 222, 227, 241, 238. Is there leave? Leave has been granted. Is there leave to not see the clock today until the consideration of all of the bills I have just listed for concurrence and third reading, plus committee stage and concurrence and third reading of Bill 204 have been concluded? Is there leave? Agreed. Leave has been granted. The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Can we start with Committee of the Whole for Bill 204, please? And do I need to list the rest of the business of the day or just start with that? We'll do it after. Thank you.
The House to resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider Bill 204. Mr. Deputy Speaker, please take the chair. Mr. Josh, could you please take the chair?
Will the Committee of the Whole please come to order? As announced, this committee will now consider the following: Bill 204, the Drivers and Vehicles Amendment Act, license plates for MMIWG2S awareness. Does the bill sponsor, the Honourable Member for Point Douglas, have an opening statement? The member for Point Douglas has the floor.
Miigwech, Deputy Speaker. This bill amends the Drivers and Vehicles Act, permits an organization to apply to the Register of Motor Vehicles to make a license plate available that includes the abbreviations MMIWG2S, meaning missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirited people. The plate will also bear a graphic depiction of a red hand or a red dress, and the money collected from the license plates may be directed to a charity, will be directed to a charity for the benefit of family members that have a loved one who has gone missing or been murdered for education purposes. Indigenous women and two-spirited and gender-diverse folks face extremely high levels of violence here in our province. This violence is caused significant, persistent, and deliberate patterns of systemic racial and gendered human rights and Indigenous rights violations and abuses, both in the past and continuing today. It's imperative that we as a government here in Manitoba raise awareness about this ongoing violence and stand up to support the families and communities of MMIWG2S. Bill 204 will allow Manitobans to remember and commemorate the Indigenous women, girls, two-spirit, and gender-diverse people who are missing or who have been murdered. We want to collectively recognize the culmination of a long and difficult journey in gaining justice for MMIWG2S families. We must always ensure that MMIWG2S families' needs, requirements, and vision be at the forefront of any activities and decisions that are made. Bill 204 is just one action that we can take to raise awareness around the violence Indigenous women, girls, two-spirit, and gender-diverse folks continue to face in our province. To stop violence against Indigenous women and girls, we need to collectively as a society stand up against this continued violence. And I want to read into the record some of the families, and this is not an exhaustive list by any means, of those who have participated in making this happen for the last 2 years. Agnes Abraham, Alea McIver, Alex Lewis, Allison Dewar, Amanda Sinclair, Amy Linklater, Angel Myron, Angela Lavallee, Angie Tuesday, Anna Haska, Anna Grace Morin, Anthony Head, Tanisha Head, Anthony Wood, April Linklater, Aaron Chartrand, Ashley Thompson, Ashley Demery, Ashley Geddes, Danny Kimach, Ashton Chartrand, Austin Briere, Janet Briere, Barbara Abraham Guimond, Barb Houle, Jessica Houle, Barb Sinclair, Belinda Westacoot, Bernice and Wilford Catchaway, Betty Ann Sanderson, Mikkel Linkslag, Betty Linkslag, Betty and Mike Rourke, Beverly Kershane, Brianna Petty, Brendan James, Lori Hastings, Brian Nipinak, Brittany Sinclair, Candice Volk, Candice Mason, Carol Chartrand, Carolyn Carpenter, who passed away last year of cancer, Cecil James, Chandri Petty, Charlene McIver, Cheryl Alexander, Dakota Mandaman, Cheryl James, Cheyenne Chartrand, Christy Zabrowski, William Hudson, Cindy and John Head, Claudia Osborne, Dayton Samard, Connie Gabriel, Coralie McPherson, Courtney Bear, Crystal McLean, Ian Briere, Danae Petty, Danielle Hall, David and Vicki Hunter, Donis Kennedy, McKenna Smith, Deanna Faye Pengman, Debbie Thunder, Dolores Daniels, Desi Murdoch, Desiree McKay, Devin James, Coralie Neepin, Donna Bartlett, Doreen Anderson, Doreen Henderson, Roxanne Mousseau, Dylan James, Miranda Watt, Earl Hall, Elaine Easter, Elgin Johnson, Alyssa Gabriel, Ellie Hart, Alora Anderson, Robert Anderson, Evan Head, Evelyn Crate, Gail Nipinak, Gardina Prince, Gary Catchaway, Geraldine Moore, Jerry and John Pengman, Gloria and Keith Lellman, Gloria Lebold, Grace Campbell, Gwen Head, Donis McManus, Gwen Wilson, Isabel Daniels, and I'm going to run out of time, but I will read the rest of the names later. I want to thank everyone for the unanimous support in passing this bill. This is a bill that is long overdue, and it shows our families the support, and I want to thank my NDP team for always standing strong with me. Miigwech.
We thank the member. Does any other member wish to make an opening statement on Bill 204? Seeing no other members, we will now move forward to consideration of the bill. During the consideration of the bill, the enacting clause and the title are postponed until all other clauses have been considered in their proper order. Shall Clause 1 pass? Shall Clause 1 pass? Clause 1 is accordingly passed. Shall Clause 2 pass? Clause 2 is accordingly passed. Shall Clause 3 pass? I hear a no. The honourable member for Point Douglas.
I move that Clause 3 of the bill be amended in the proposed section 60.2 brackets 2 by adding "and" at the end of Clause A and replacing clauses B and C with the following. Keep going. B depicts either a red hand or a red dress. B, in the proposed subsection 60.2 bracket 3 by striking out "or a portion."
It has been moved by the member for Point Douglas that Clause 3 of the bill be amended. A, in the proposed section 60.2, in the proposed subsection 60.2, by adding "and" at the end of that Clause 3 of the bill be amended. A, in the proposed subsection 60.2 bracket 2 by adding "and" at the end of a clause of Clause A and replacing clauses B and C with the following. B depicts either a red hand or a red dress. B, in the proposed subsection 60.2 bracket 3 by striking out "or a portion." The amendment is in order. The floor is open for questions. The Minister of Justice.
A comment, Mr. Chairperson. I want to thank the member for Point Douglas for the discussions that we've had. I've said in the past, and it's true, it doesn't require a law to create a license plate. In fact, I think this might be the first time in Manitoba that it happens this way. And I don't think it's a precedent that we want to have over and over again, but this is unique and this is different and this is special. And I know it's also unique to the member for Point Douglas, and I recognize that. So while it's not necessary, I think it's good that it's being done this way. And I know a great deal of work has been done at MPI in terms of consultations. They'll be able to take that work and some of the design work that they've done, incorporated with the suggestions by the member for Point Douglas. I think the expectation for MPI is that they should be able to produce these plates mid to late July. So of course, the member will be working with family members, and we'll want to make sure that that is revealed and launched in an appropriate way with the right place where the funds are going. But I just wanted to say that sometimes we get tied up in the fact that we don't feel like we ever agree on things or we can ever come to some sort of common cause. I think on this one we did, even though it doesn't require a bill. I think the bill is the right thing, and I'm glad for the member for Point Douglas. I know this is meaningful for her as it is for all Manitobans, and I commend and congratulate her.
Any further comments? The member for Point Douglas.
Miigwech, I just want to say thank you to the minister for working collaboratively on this. It just shows, families that we can get somewhere when we, work together, and I think that's what all Manitobans want to do and want to see from our government. So certainly this is something that families, you know, their tragedy has been born out of and have wanted to see, and I look forward to unveiling this with families. Families are certainly looking forward to it. I did read a list of some of the families, and I'll continue that list when we get to the next stage, because I'd like their names included, because they did do a lot of work to get to where we're at. So I thank you for the work and the collaboration. Miigwech.
Is the committee ready for the question? Shall the amendment pass? Pass. The amendment is accordingly passed. Shall Clause 3 as amended pass? Pass. Clause 3 as, is accordingly passed as amended. Okay. Shall Clause 4 pass? Pass. Clause 4 is accordingly passed. Shall the enacting clause pass? The enacting clause is accordingly passed. Shall the title pass? The title is accordingly passed. Shall the bill be reported?
Shall the bill as amended?
Sorry, shall the bill as amended be reported? Agreed. Agreed. The bill shall be reported as amended. This concludes the business before the committee. Committee rise. Call on the Speaker.
The honourable member for Borderland.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee of the Whole has considered the following: Bill 204, the Drivers and Vehicles Amendment Act, license plates for MMIW G2S awareness, and reports the same with amendments. I move, seconded by the honourable member for Rossmere, that the report of the committee be received.
It has been moved by the honourable member for Borderland, seconded by the honourable member for Rossmere, that the report of the committee be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed, and so ordered. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Could you please call for concurrence in third reading this afternoon? Bill number 230, 231, 233, 235, 239, 229, 240, 242, 244, 218, 222, 227, 241, 204, and 238.
It has been moved. It has been announced, and we will consider concurrence in third reading of bills number 230, 231, 233, 235, 239, 229, 240, 242, 244, 218, 222, 227, 241, 204, and 238. I will move on to.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Concurrence and third reading of Bill number 230, the Municipal Councils and School Board Election Amendment Act, that has been reported from the. Okay, the Honourable Member for Brandon East.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I move, seconded by the member from Brandon West, that Bill number 230, the Municipal Councils and School Boards Election Amendment Act, reported from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in, and be now read a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the member for Brandon East, seconded by the member for Brandon West, that Bill number 230, the Municipal Councils and School Boards Election Amendment Act, reported from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in and now read for the third time and passed. The honourable member for Brandon East.
Thank you again, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Again, just very, very briefly, I know I've spoken to this a number of times already. I just want to, on record, just thank the members from both AMM and the Manitoba School Boards for communicating in regards to this bill, and to thank everybody in this House for their support in getting it this far. And I look forward to it passing third reading and moving forward as of today. Thank you.
The honourable member for Wolseley.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker. I'm happy for the opportunity to speak again on this bill before it passes. It is ironic that the PC government should put forward this bill when the Premier herself has continuously failed to follow conflict of interest laws, election laws, and financial rules. Bill 230 conveniently doesn't require candidates to disclose conflict of interest breaches or election law breaches. As discussed at second reading, this is a significant gap in Bill 230. This bill requires candidates to disclose offenses for which they pleaded guilty or have been found guilty. And so, while someone may have been found guilty of a crime 30 years ago and paid their due to society, this bill means they must disclose this if they run for city council or school board. Yet, someone like the current Premier can run for the highest office in our province without disclosing that she violated Manitobans election law, Manitoba's conflict of interest law, and financial rules on more than one occasion. Furthermore, nothing in this amendment calls for the disclosure of membership in white supremacy organizations or hate groups. This was a discrepancy I raised at second reading, and it remains a serious issue and a significant gap in this legislation. Historically, this government has made it their mission to undermine standards of electoral fairness, and many of these amendments that they've done over the last 7 years, I did outline during the second reading. The NDP supports an electoral landscape that features candidates of diverse backgrounds and socioeconomic statuses, which is why our government took several steps to facilitate that. We gave voters more power by banning corporate and union donations, which increases the accountability demands on political parties. We also limited individual contributions. However, this Premier chose to raise the contribution limit. The NDP government introduced an independent commissioner to enforce the Election Financing Act in order to ensure each party's compliance with the Act and increase transparency. We expanded representation on the Electoral Boundaries Commission to include rural and northern Manitobans by adding the heads of Brandon University and University College of the North to the commission. Our NDP government also expanded Election Manitobans' role to include promotion of participation, and it was our government who decided to set a fixed date for elections, the first Tuesday in October every 4 years. Adhering to set election dates allows for better planning around the enumeration process and allows for a stronger voters list. And finally, we took action to increase voter participation. We introduced amendments to allow polls to open an hour earlier on election day to allow voters more time to vote on the way to work. We added additional days for advanced voting, and we improved access to advanced polls in rural and northern areas so that residents in a community will not travel more than 30 kilometers to an advanced poll. The election financing laws need to ensure that candidates from different walks of life are able to access the resources needed to run campaigns so that the diversity of Manitoba can be properly represented. It is important that we do everything we can to maintain the integrity of our elections and ensure that groups and individuals are equally able to run campaigns. Unlike the PC party, who think that choosing leaders to represent everyday Manitobans in the legislature should be a matter of who has the wealthiest funds and deepest pockets. I want to thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for allowing me to put some words on the record before this bill passes with this rather incomplete amendment. Thank you.
The honourable member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, first of all, we will support this bill. I have two comments. One is we tend to focus on negative aspects of people's lives, and it might be nice to give the individual the opportunity to provide a short explanation for what happened in the realm of fairness. Second, I think, as the member for Wolseley has already indicated, it might be reasonable as well to include people who have found to fall on the other side of the Conflict of Interest Act, because that's pretty important in terms of how democracy runs. Thank you.
Is there any further debate on this bill? Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 230, the Municipal Councils and School Boards Election Amendment Act. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 231, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, brackets 2. The Honourable Member for Dauphin.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I move, seconded by the member for Swan River, that Bill number 231, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Dauphin, seconded by the Honourable Member for Swan River, that Bill number 231, the Residential Tenancy Amendment Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The Honourable Member for Dauphin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Yeah, I'm really pleased to sponsor Bill 231. This bill provides tenants with a broader range of reasons to leave a tenancy agreement. And right now, the scope is fairly narrow, and this bill does expand that for tenants, families who are experiencing or exposed to living arrangements which include abuse or can be considered abusive. It gives them a pathway to apply to get out of a tenancy agreement, and it also provides more liability to landlords to ensure that they're considerate of the tenants. So I'm very proud to sponsor 231, and I look forward to passage of this bill. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It is my honor to rise in the House to put a few comments on Bill 231, the Residential Tenancy Amendment Act 2. Manitoba NDP caucus is in support of this bill. This bill amends the Residential Tenancy Act, household violence, which is violence that adversely affect tenants' quiet enjoyment, security, safety, or physical well-being, is added as a reason for the tenant to end their tenancy agreement early. A landlord can be ordered to pay a tenant's reasonable moving expense if the landlord is responsible for the tenants experiencing a household violence. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the housing is right, and all Manitobans should have access to affordable, safe, quality housing where their rights are protected and respected. Unfortunately, affordable housing is becoming less and less available in our province, in part thanks to the action of this government. The PC sold off hundreds of social housing units despite a long wait list for the housing. The PC government has failed to build a single unit of social or affordable housing and has instead cut the maintenance budget while allowing massive above guideline rent increase to go through. Manitoba need a government that will support renters and ensure there is a affordable housing available for all. As I said, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Manitoba NDP is in support of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The honourable member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Manitoba Liberal are in support of this legislation. We believe that violence should be noted and that violence should be a reasonable reason why a tenant should be able to leave the residence where they are living. Hopefully, this can be add to the measures which will decrease violence, and let us see what happens, but we look forward to this passing and becoming law. Thank you.
Is there any further debate on this bill? Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 231, the Residential Tenancy Amendment Act. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed. Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried.
You just restate the name of it. You don't have to redo it, just
I just need to add to the end of the wording on the Residential Tenancy Amendment Act. It's supposed to have brackets 2 at the end. Thank you. We will now move on to Bill number 233, the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources Act. The honourable member for McPhillips.
Mr. Acting Speaker, I move, seconded by the member for Brandon East, that Bill number 233, the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources Act, be reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in, and now be read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the honourable member for McPhillips, seconded by the honourable member for Brandon East, that Bill number 233, the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The honourable member for McPhillips.
Thank you very much, Mr. Acting Speaker. Mr. Acting Speaker, business leaders across Manitoba have met with our caucus as well as caucuses across the way to advise their support to strengthen the authority and the responsibility of chartered professionals in human resources here in Manitoba. This self-regulation will bring that sector in line with other jurisdictions while improving our business climate and protecting employees, employers, and their families. Thank you.
The honourable member for Notre Dame.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I just have a few short comments. The MLA for the Maples and I did meet with members of the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources of Manitoba this past Friday, May 26, 2023. Specifically, we did meet with Ron Gauthier, CEO, and Dr. Lana Adelier Olusai, both from the Dr. Lana Adelier Olusai was the board chair of, and they're both from the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources of Manitoba. In addition, I also did touch base with
somebody from the Manitoba Federation of Labor, and I also was able to reach out to 2 HR professionals that are currently working in Manitoba, who are internationally educated professionals and just started working in this sector very recently. Both Mr. Gauthier and Dr. Adelier Olusay were able to answer a lot of questions regarding the pathways for internationally accredited professionals in this field. Things like about the pathway, the costs associated with this process, even things about the terms of the board members, and those were important concerns for me. And with those questions and conversations that we had, I came away from that meeting extremely satisfied that this organization is on the right track as it comes, and I also wish this organization all the best in their future endeavors. I'm confident that they have the capacity to serve our province well, and I wish them all the best. Thank you.
The honourable member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, Manitoba Liberals will support this legislation. The Chartered Professionals in Human Resources Act. Human resources is a very critical area for us in Manitoba, and it's very critical for any organization to handle human resources well. This is particularly true in the current environment. So we believe that this will be a substantive and helpful step forward, and we look forward to success in this endeavor and success for those involved in delivering and supporting human resources. Thank you.
Is there any further debate on this bill? Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 233, the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources Act. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill 235, the Employment Standards Code Amendment Act. The honourable member for Rossmere.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker. I move, second by the honourable member for Brandon East, that Bill 235, the Employment Standards Code Amendment Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the honourable member for Rossmere, seconded by Brandon East, that Bill number 235, the Employment Standard Code Amendment Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and now be read for a third time and passed. The honourable member for Rossmere.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker. Obviously, this has come through the House, through the process. I don't need to spend a lot of time explaining it, but I do want to acknowledge that bereavement is a real loss, that those who lose a pregnancy due to miscarriage and for other reasons experience real loss. That's what this recognizes. They now will be able to take more time away without wondering if they're going to lose their job. For that sake, we recognize that loss. We collectively are working now to make life a little easier. No bill can do everything, but many bills can do something, and that's what we're endeavoring to do this afternoon. Thank you.
Good job.
The honourable member for Wolseley.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker. I just can take a minute to reflect on this bill. I do understand that this bill is a step in the right direction. I can appreciate that the importance of expanding the length of unpaid leave on the death of a family member from 3 days to 5 days within the Employment Standards Code Amendment Act. The other part of this amendment, expanding the time that an employee can have of unpaid leave if they or their spouse or common law partner experience a loss of pregnancy. And I'm just going to take the opportunity to say one more time on the record that obviously I and others on this side of the House would like to see paid time off for people who have experienced miscarriage or other pregnancy loss as introduced in the legislature by my colleague, the MLA for the Pas-Kamisak through Bill 210. We are disappointed that Bill 210 was not supported by this government, but do recognize this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully we can rectify this in the future. We certainly know that other jurisdictions, such as New Zealand, for example, has extended paid bereavement leave for grieving people who have lost a pregnancy and their partners, and that's something we want to see move forward in the future in Manitoba. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Yeah, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Manitoba Liberals support this as a recognition of the significance of bereavement at the time of a loss of a pregnancy. We also support the increase of the leave following the death of a family member being expanded from 3 days to 5 days. I personally think that it would have been wise to also consider including the concept that was brought forward by the member for the PA, that this be a paid leave. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Are there any further speakers on this bill? Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 235, the Employment Standards Code Amendment Act. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed. Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 239, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, Application Fees and Deposits. The Honourable Member for Rossmere.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for McPhillips, that Bill 239, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, Application Fees and Deposits, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Rossmere, seconded by the Honourable Member for McPhillips, that Bill number 239, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, Application Fees and Deposits, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The Honourable Member for Rossmere.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker. I just want to recap for the House. This was brought to my attention that people in this province can be charged a deposit fee just to get their name on a wait list for an apartment. Now, if you're looking at perhaps exploring whether or not you'd like to get a place in one or two different blocks, and those blocks perhaps are managed by different landlords, potentially one could be asked to put multiple deposits down. These deposits are not always, but often 50% of a month's rent. That's hundreds of dollars. That's a lot of money to shell out, and let's face it, when you're renting a place, quite often money is something you need more of, not less of. This small change is a step in the right direction. for people looking to rent, students, seniors, but everybody in between. And so I'm very happy not only to commend this to the House, but to receive all parties' support for this in the House. It's going to take effect real soon and be a very positive help for people as soon as it does pass and take effect. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for St. James.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Deputy Speaker. It gives me great pleasure to rise in the House to speak to this bill. I do want to say that any time we're advancing the rights of renters in Manitoba, that's a good thing, moving in that direction. And of course, no renters in Manitoba should be forced to pay application fees simply to apply for the right to apply for a housing unit or a rental unit. There's no question about that. It does, however, bring me some sadness to know that today we are simply moving slightly down the field and protecting the rights of renters in Manitoba, but we're missing this much broader opportunity to help renters in Manitoba, in all communities in Manitoba, including the community belonging to the member who's brought forward this bill. We have brought forward 3 times now in this House a bill that would support renters in helping to do away with our issue of above guideline increases, which right now we have a runaway issue with those right now in Manitoba. And I would argue that while this bill does, again, support the ability of renters to go ahead and apply for units without having that burden of needing to pay for that application fee, that is barely an issue that registers in terms of the issues impacting renters. Renters in Manitoba are facing upwards of 20, 25, 30% increases in their rent. We're seeing year after year, and these aren't partisan numbers, year after year, 20 to 30,000 rental units in Manitoba every year are seeing increases of 5% or more, with many again being that 20, 25, and 30% category. And many others are seeing rent increases much, much higher. In terms of the affordability crisis that Manitobans are facing, this is one of the single greatest contributors, and we had an opportunity to act in response to that issue. Instead of taking action in response to that issue to support renters, the government has brought forward this bill, which again does move the ball slightly down the field. That will support renters and avoid renters from needing to carry those application costs. But this is not really an issue that's impacting renters in this province. If the government really was concerned about the rights of renters and supporting the interests of renters, they would have taken action on the predominant issue of above guideline increases and worked to put a stop to that, but they chose not to do that. So again, it does give me pleasure to support this bill because it does advance the rights of renters in a small way. But as I said last week when I had an opportunity to speak to this, we should not confuse this bill with any type of real action to support renters in Manitoba. Thank you very much, Mr. Acting Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, Manitoba Liberals will support this legislation. It is important, particularly when the rental market is tight, that those who are applying to rent property are not charged an application fee just to get on the list. And so we support this legislation at other times when things are not quite so tight in the rental market. This may not be as critical, but I think right now it can be important. And we also support the concept that tenants should not be required to pay a deposit before the landlord and tenant enter into a tenancy agreement. I think this makes sense. And so we look forward to this becoming law and creating, in a small way, a better balance between tenants and landlords. Thank you.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 239, the Residential Tenancy Amendment Act, application fees and deposits. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed. Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 229, the Farmers Market Week Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
I move, seconded by the member for Borderland, that Bill number 229, the Farmers Market Week Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months amended, reported from the committee, be now reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in, and now read for the third time and passed.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie, seconded by the Honourable Member for Borderland, that Bill number 229, the Farmers Market Week Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in, and be now read for a third time and passed. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker. And I think everyone in the House is very familiar with the benefits of this bill. Not only would it provide Manitobans give us a week to recognize the great advantages of farmers markets that provide Manitobans with access to fresh and affordable food, but it's the educational side of this, I think, frankly, that is the most valuable part of this and very often overlooked. The fact that consumers will now know more about the food that they're consuming and where it's produced and how it's produced, but also that the people that are there at the market selling the product have a better connection with their customer. And that is something that also has a great deal of value. If you're going to produce a product, you need to be able to be sure that the product is what your customer wants and that they appreciate the effort that goes into this. It's not a simple job, so I'm very pleased to bring this forward. I know this bill has been brought to this House a few times before, and this time it looks like we're going to get it through the House, so I appreciate everybody's cooperation on that. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for the Boroughs.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This Bill 229, amends the commemoration of days, weeks, and months. The last full week of July under this bill each year is proclaimed as Farmers Markets Week. This is a good bill in the sense that it connects producers with the consumers, which is very important. Manitoba has dozens of farmers markets all across the province. Farmers markets have many positive impacts in our province. They help build local communities, contribute to local economies, incubate new businesses, support local and sustainable agriculture, increase access to farm fresh products, and provide community resource hubs and gathering places. According to a 2022 study by Direct Farm Manitoba on the economic impacts of farmers market, they have an overall economic impact in the province of over 100 million. Shoppers report choosing farmers markets because they appreciate the quality, freshness, and sustainability of the products, and they want to support local farmers and businesses. But I want to mention this here that PCs don't support farmers. The PC government is making life harder for producers in Manitoba. We know that this PC government consistently prioritizes themselves and their wealthy friends, where it's millions in tax rebates sent out of province landowners, selling off social housing units to the highest bidder, or contracting out and privatizing the delivery of health services. Now we hear from rural Manitobans that small and medium-sized ranchers are being squeezed out by this government's failed approach to crown land leasing, and large agribusinesses are able to buy up all the best crown land leases. The PCs haven't done enough to support producers through these challenges, and their changes to Crown lands have made the situation worse for cattle producers. They've already jacked up Crown leases by 300% or more. The PC government knew that these past few years have been challenging for producers with the pandemic and climate issues impacting operations significantly, but they decided to plow ahead anyway with their misguided plan for Crown lands, only revealing their true intent after the 2019 election. We care about the future of our producers through difficult times and want programs that ensure young people can continue to farm. For a generation, Manitoba allocated land rents for cattle producers through a point system that included factors such as the farmer's age and their proximity to the parcel. Now, the only criterion for the right to enter into a lease appears to be the highest bidder. This will almost certainly drive up prices and present a real challenge to young beef producers who need to grow their operation. The Manitoba NDP believes in supporting family farms and young people trying to start out in farming. The PCs believe in supporting big corporations. Ending on that note, we are happy to support Bill 229 that supports local food production and small farmers in Manitoba. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The honourable member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, Manitoba Liberals will support this bill to establish Farmers Markets Week. It is a good idea to promote farmers markets. They are wonderful places to get local produce. They are really good places to have a dialogue with farmers. And that's badly needed for people in the city to understand a little bit better about where food comes from. And so we're strong supporters of this legislation and thank the MLA for Portage for bringing this forward.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 229, the Farmers Market Week Act, Commemoration Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 240, the Remembrance Day Amendment Act. The honourable member for Brandon East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I move that, and seconded by the member from McPhillips, that Bill number 240, the Remembrance Day Amendment Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the member from Brandon East, seconded by the member for McPhillips, that Bill number 240, the Remembrance Day Amendment Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The honourable member for Brandon East.
Thank you again, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And again, really, just very briefly, we all know we have the utmost opportunity to pay our respects and remember those who sacrificed the most on November the 11th of every year. We also have the ability to reach out beyond that by wearing a poppy prior to November the 11th, actually from the last Saturday in October until the 11th of November. Again, as I've mentioned, this bill is a proactive bill, whereas in other jurisdictions, some members of the workforces have been denied the opportunity to wear a poppy. So this bill will allow them to wear a poppy for Remembrance Week, which is the 7 days leading up to November 11th. Again, very important to know that if wearing a poppy at work does interfere with safety, then it is understandably not, people are not allowed to wear them. But it does give everybody the opportunity to pay the utmost respect and remember those who sacrificed the most. Thank you.
The honourable member for St. John's.
Miigwech, Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to put just a couple of words on the record in respect of Bill 40, the Remembrance Day Act. I think that it is important for folks, no matter where they work, to be able to have the ability to wear poppy. I know that we even made some of those, had some of those discussions here in respect of the clerks being able to wear poppies, and we made the decision in this chamber to ensure that clerks were able to wear poppies. So it is important that no matter where Manitobans or Canadians work, that they should be allowed during the month of November up until November 11th to be able to wear poppies. It is quite literally the bare minimum that we can do as Manitobans or as Canadians to honor those of our relatives that put their lives on the line, quite literally, so that we could have the freedoms that we certainly do enjoy here in Canada. And finally, I just want to say this as this is my last opportunity in this 42nd Legislative Assembly. I just want to honor my own grandfather. I have mentioned him a couple of times over the last 7 years since I've been elected, but I'm very proud of, our whole family is very proud of my grandfather, Henry Charles Fontaine. He enlisted when he was 17. He actually said that he was 18 on his application. And my grandfather was shipped off and was on the second and third waves of Juno Beach. And as I've shared a couple of times, he would have been 18 at that time. Just a little boy, just a boy, a young man. And very soon after landing on the beaches, he was captured by the Nazis, and he was held as a POW for 9 months in what is modern-day Poland. And I want to share that because I think it's really important to always acknowledge our veterans and those of our relatives that went to war and, like I said, put their lives on the line, but also in respect of Indigenous veterans and Indigenous citizens who enlisted to serve Canada and yet were treated so abominably when they got back. And my cousins and I went a couple of years ago, I think that was in 2016, I had been newly elected, and my cousins, we traveled to Juno Beach to honor my grandfather, to lay tobacco on that beach and to honor him and for what he's done for our family and what he's done for all Canadian families. And so on this last opportunity to speak about that, I want to just also honor my grandfather, and who died with not the recognition that he deserved. And so I just want to honor him today, and I want to honor all of our relatives, those that sacrifice themselves for all of us. Miigwech.
The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I thank the MLA for St. John's for sharing the family history, which is important and one of the major reasons why, in fact, we have Remembrance Day and why we have poppies as a sign of that memory. Manitoba Liberals are enthusiastic about supporting this. We feel that it is an additional step in ensuring that people will be able to remember and remind others about the sacrifices that so many have made so that we can have the freedoms that we enjoy in Canada. With just those few remarks, I look forward to this passing and becoming law. Thank you. Miigwech.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 240, the Remembrance Day Amendment Act. Is it the will of the House or the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now We will now move on to Bill number 242, the Police and Peace Officers Memorial Day Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended. The Honourable Member for Brandon East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I move, seconded by the member from Portage La Prairie, that Bill number 242, the Police and Peace Officers Memorial Day Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in, and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Brandon East, seconded by the Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie, that Bill number 242, the Police and Peace Officers Memorial Day Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in, and be now read for a third time and passed. The Honourable Member for Brandon East.
So I want to take the opportunity to thank numerous people across the province who have provided input on this bill, and thank everyone in the House on all sides for supporting it this far. Again, it gives us an opportunity to come together on November 30th of each year, which will, once this passes, will be known as Police and Peace Officers Memorial Day, and gives us an opportunity to be collective in our grieving, and again, to express our appreciation for those who sacrificed their lives so that we in this House, our families, and all members of Manitoba have an opportunity to live in a society that we do live in. So again, I look forward to this bill passing, and again, coming together with the Police Association and celebrating the lives and remembering the lives of those on November 30th of each year. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for St. John's.
I'm pleased to put a couple of words on the record, very, very brief words in respect of Bill 242, the Police and Peace Officers Memorial Day Act. As I shared during second reading, certainly members of our NDP team / caucus are in support of Bill 242. I would suggest that all of us in this House and this chamber understand and appreciate the need to recognize and have a formal day of recognition for those peace officers and police, certainly in particular for those that have lost their lives. And so with those very, very short words, Deputy Speaker, we do support this bill, and we look forward to it receiving a royal assent. Miigwech.
The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, Manitoba Liberals will support this legislation. We believe it is really important to remember police officers and peace officers and to recognize their work every day and the work that they do to protect Manitobans, work they do to reduce violence. Peace is particularly important, and a less violent society is also very important. We know this all too well in Manitoba because we have a very high incidence of violent crime compared with other jurisdictions in Canada. So I welcome the opportunity to support this legislation and look forward to it becoming law.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 242, the Police and Peace Officers Memorial Day Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. The next bill before us is Bill number 244, the Ducks Unlimited Canada Day Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended. The Honourable Member for Swan River.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I move, Second by the honourable member from Portage La Prairie, that Bill number 244, the Ducks Unlimited Canada Day Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the honourable member from Swan River, seconded by the honourable member from Portage La Prairie, that Bill number 244, the Ducks Unlimited Canada Day Act, Commemorations of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The honourable member for Swan River.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'm honored to sponsor Bill 244. It's only fitting with Ducks Unlimited connection in Manitoba and existence since 1937 that this bill give the recognition and great work and partnerships that Ducks have built. With the challenges our wetlands face daily, this recognition and education will ensure there is a voice for wetlands and ducks. I look forward to the passing of this bill. Thank you.
The honourable member for Concordia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I thought I heard a duck in the chamber there just a moment ago, but maybe it's just my mind playing tricks on me. This is a bill that we do support. Once again, I just express my disappointment with the member in not bringing folks from Ducks Unlimited Canada here to the legislature to partake in this legislative process, giving them a chance to join in the gallery to show their support for this bill. I also, once again point out that the date chosen by the member, I think he indicated this was had a significance to the organization. I appreciate that. What I would say is that, of course, hunting season is a good chance. The fall is usually a good chance to promote and advocate on behalf of hunters in this province, and we do have some opportunities to do that. I look forward to other opportunities that we can promote hunting, especially amongst youth and new Canadians, people who are maybe new to this province, who we can share some of the joys of being out on the land, learning how to hunt, and being part of, as I said in my second reading comments, a tradition that goes back a very long time in this part of the world, and we're so very blessed to be a part of that. So we are in support of this bill. We are very much in support of the organization of Ducks Unlimited Canada, and look forward to partnering with them and working towards common goals of wetland preservation, environmental stewardship, and the promotion of those who partake in hunting to do it sustainably. And we look forward to working with them as partners at the table in the future as government. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The honourable member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, Manitoba Liberals are in support of this bill and the recognition of Ducks Unlimited as making an important contribution to Manitoba. I have visited Okamic Marsh and the headquarters of Ducks Unlimited in Manitoba many times, and they have clearly provided valuable help in preserving wetlands, particularly in some areas like Okamic Marsh. There is lots more to do. I recently held a forum which dealt with ecological corridors, and in the discussion on that forum was a discussion of how to balance farming and the preservation of wetlands, and I think this is an important step forward. Thank you. Merci, Miigwech.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 244, the Ducks Unlimited Canada Day Act, Commemoration of Days, Weeks, and Months Act amended. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. The honourable member for Concordia on a point of order.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And just a very brief point of order. I know that we are moving very quickly through bills here this afternoon, and it's only because of the great work of our table staff, yourself as chair, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I just wanted to thank all our wonderful staff in the chamber for the work that they're doing. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
I'd like to remind the member for Concordia that it's not a point of order, but thank you very much. The honourable member for St. John's.
Miigwech, Deputy Speaker. I move, seconded by the member for Concordia, that Bill number 218, an act respecting the title of Associate Judge, various acts amended, as amended and reported from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the honourable member for St. John's, seconded by the honourable member for Concordia, that Bill number 218, an act respecting the title Associate Judge, various acts amended, reported as amended and reported from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The honourable member for St. John's.
Miigwech, Deputy Speaker, and I am very honoured that Bill 218 is going to pass. As I've said many, many times, language that we use is important. The discourse and the narrative that we use is important. Language informs the way that we understand and see and interpret things around us. And so when we know better, we should do better. And essentially, this is what that bill is about. It's about changing language. It's about decolonizing language within the judiciary. It's about doing better and bringing Manitobans forward in a good way. And what the bill does, as I've shared before, is it replaces the category or the word of master for a judge and changes it to associate judge. And I can, as I shared in second reading, I don't want to get too much into the history of that particular word because I don't want to further harm Manitobans that have been impacted by colonial and more particularly by slavery language. But we can do better here in Manitoba, and we must do better, and that's why that word has been changed, and I think it is in recognition and in honor of Black Manitobans that work within the judiciary. It is my small little contribution to ensure that there is equity within our judiciary for Black Manitobans. Miigwech.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I'm happy to be able to rise this afternoon and just put a few words on record here at third reading on Bill 218, an act respecting the title Associate Judge. This is a positive step that many jurisdictions have already moved to make Canadian courts more inclusive. There's been concerns raised over the years about the type of language, and glad Manitoba is doing our diligence, doing the right thing, and growing with society. I reflect upon what the member for St. John's just finished saying and how language does matter. And I'd like to encourage her to really reflect upon those words as well. I think that language here in the House is very important, and I'd like to encourage that. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 218, an act respecting the title Associate Judge, various acts amended. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed. Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 222, the Public Schools Amendment Act, Nutrition Programs. The Honourable Member for Transcona.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Acting Deputy Speaker. I move, seconded by the member from Union Station, that Bill 222, the Public Schools Amendment Act, be reported on from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in, and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Transcona, seconded by the Honourable Member for Union Station, that Bill number 222, the Public Schools Amendment Act, Nutrition Programs, reported from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The Honourable Member for Transcona.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Deputy Speaker. We know that child nutrition programs cannot be more critical to student success and well-being. We've known that for a number of years. There is extensive research on this topic, that nutrition programs and whatever the variety of ways that they're delivered upon in this province are really beneficial and correlate strongly with student attendance, student performance, and student success. This bill will help immensely in documenting the meal programs that exist in every school, Deputy Speaker, because right now we only know of those programs that exist through the schools that apply through the child nutrition program. There are schools, of course, and school leadership teams that provide nutrition programs outside of that because they're not successful in getting the grants because there isn't enough money to distribute throughout the province. What this bill will do, Deputy Speaker, is provide the necessary documentation so that we can move forward. And if we decide as a chamber to support nutrition programs throughout the province, we know exactly how many schools require them and how many kids would benefit and families in our communities would benefit. I want to thank members of this House for passing this bill, because every school and every child in this province deserves a great start and a great experience while attending our public schools. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I'm happy to rise this afternoon just to put a few words on record about Bill 222, the Public Schools Amendment Act, Nutrition Programs. Child nutrition here in the province of Manitoba is incredibly important, and I know it was a few years ago, MTS, the Manitoba's Teacher Society, who actually put the issue first on my radar, and I know they've done exceptionally great work on meeting with all of the MLAs in different formats over the years to ensure that we're well educated on the topic of child nutrition and just some of the needs, as well as CNCM, the Child Nutrition Council of Manitoba, who has shared how it only costs 17 cents a day to ensure a child in school receives food, yet 31% of elementary students and 62% of secondary school students don't eat breakfast daily. I think that we need to continue to be pushing for a universal nutrition program here in Manitoba and all throughout Canada to ensure that every single child, every single student are receiving the needs that they have within our school systems. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 222, the Public Schools Amendment Act, Nutrition Programs. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 227, the Workplace Safety and Health Amendment Act, access to washrooms for delivery personnel. The honorable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I move, second by a member from the boroughs, that Bill 227, the Workplace Safety and Health Amendment Act, access to the washroom and for delivery persons, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for the third time and passed.
It has been moved by the honorable member for the Maples, seconded by the honorable member for the boroughs, that Bill number 227, the Workplace Safety and Health Amendment Act, access to washrooms for delivery personnel, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read a third time and passed. The honorable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'm really excited to see this bill go forward. As I mentioned during my second reading, that this bill is here because this is what our heroes asked for. Our heroes are like those truck drivers. They, like some people know, they were calling heroes during the only pandemic, but they were our heroes before the pandemic. During the pandemic, they will be heroes forever, because as you probably know, Mr. Deputy Speaker, 95% of the household stuff you see at your house is delivered by truck drivers here or delivery person in Manitoba. And this bill was, as I said earlier, it's a nonpartisan bill. This is for our heroes, and they were, during the pandemic, were separated from their families. They spent long hours, 16, 18 hours driving, while we still were setting our house, and we were worried that what will happen to our families after COVID comes. So even these, our heroes, were out on the roads to make sure that we are getting our deliveries, like such as groceries and medicines, to us here in the stores. And again, really excited to see this bill go forward. And I'd like to thank each and every member of this House supporting this bill. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The honorable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I'm very happy to be able to rise this afternoon and just put a few words on record about Bill 227, the Workplace Safety and Health Amendment Act, access to washrooms for delivery persons. I'm very grateful that the member for the Maples brought forward this piece of legislation, because it also allowed so many of us here in the House the opportunity just to express our gratitude to so many of our truck drivers. They often go unnoticed and unrecognized, but as the member for the Maples just finished sharing, they actually did an exceptional amount of work that we need to be aware of, and we need to make sure it's properly recognized, whether that be through speeches here in the House, Mr. Deputy Speaker, or through other means as well. But during the pandemic, for example, it was our truck drivers that kept all of our stores stocked. It was our truck drivers that ensured we still had what we needed in our households, even though the rules were constantly changing and boundaries were constantly being changed going across borders. Our truck drivers really went that extra mile, and I'm so glad that this legislation created a platform for us to be able to express that gratitude. Now, this legislation does also extend to couriers and grocery and food delivery drivers, and it's fairly straightforward. It's just to ensure that people do not have to plan their routes around access to washrooms. It's to ensure that those who are helping Manitobans take care of their needs, that they can drink water as they drive, and they are able to use washrooms wherever they may be, for example, fueling up or delivering their goods. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few words about this legislation. And again, I'd like to thank the member for the Maples for bringing it forward.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 227, the Workplace Safety and Health Amendment Act, access to washrooms for delivery personnel. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed. Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill 241, the Mandatory Training for Provincial Employees, Systemic Racism and Human Rights Act. The Honourable Member for St. Vital.
I move, seconded by the member for Union Station, that Bill number 241, the Mandatory Training for Provincial Employees, Systemic Racism and Human Rights Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for St. Vital, seconded by the Honourable Member for Union Station, that Bill number 241, the Mandatory Training for Provincial Employees, Systemic Racism and Human Rights Act, reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The Honourable Member for St. Vital.
Thank you very much, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker. Before I begin my brief remarks with regards to Bill 241, I'd like to welcome my parents-in-law to the Manitoba Legislature, Joan and Fraser Linklater, who are visiting us here today in the gallery. Thank you for coming down very much. Now, with respect to this bill, the Anti-Racism Training Bill for Provincial Employees, this is a very important bill, and I'm glad that we are moving forward with this bill through third reading and on to becoming, for it to become law in Manitoba. It's important to recognize and identify racism, to call it out, and not just call it out, but to take actions, proactive actions, to actually combat racism. And that's what this bill is aiming to achieve. To not only educate provincial employees about racism, but to actually make sure that they're aware of the tools to fight against and combat racism through anti-racism training, and being aware of implicit bias, and that racism impacts decision makers and impacts the way our government services is applied to Manitobans. And so we want to take this positive step forward to make sure that we are actually working to make sure all Manitobans feel like this is a place where everyone is welcome. I just want to back up, Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker, and thank some people who were very important as the creation of this bill. Going back to the work when I started this bill back in 2020, spoke with many experts in the field who have done a lot of work in anti-racism around our community and around the country. And I just want to particularly thank Valerie Williams, who was a strong advocate for this sort of bill. I also want to thank, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the people who voiced their, who came out in support of anti-racism, the people who came out and put their actions on display for all of Manitoba and all of us to see, that they know the impacts of racism, they take the fight against racism seriously. And I'm talking about, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the 20,000 people who marched on the Manitoba Legislature back in June of 2020, those people who were voicing their concerns after what they witnessed with the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd. And so that sparked a huge discussion on racial issues in our province, and that continued to the creation of this bill, and it continued to this very day. And so, you know, as we got a reminder then of the importance of taking active steps to combat racism, we continue to get reminders of the importance of combating racism. And we don't have to look much further than what we witnessed in this chamber today and over the number of past couple of weeks. And so it's important that we not only recognize the need for training, but we take action to ensure that Manitobans get that training so we can combat racism here. And I think that the best way that we do that is by making sure that this government is the leader in that. That we do it as MLAs, we put the work in as MLAs, that we go about and ensure we have a civil service and a public service that is aware of these issues and knows how to combat them, and then that we ensure that all Manitobans know how to make sure we build a Manitoba that is a welcome place for all of us. And so I know on this side of the House, we're very happy to be passing this bill and moving it forward. And I encourage all members to take this issue seriously, to talk to members in their community about this and find ways that we can make Manitoba a welcome place for everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I just want to rise and put a few short words on record about Bill 241, the Mandatory Training for Provincial Employees, Systemic Racism and Human Rights Act. I want to just begin by thanking the member for bringing forward this really good piece of legislation that I think was incredibly helpful for all of us, even MLAs here in the chambers, to be able to discuss and have thoughtful debate on. My colleague from River Heights spoke to this legislation at second reading, and I just had one additional thought that I'd like to add to the debate as well, and that's just expressing how grateful we are for the Ethnocultural Council of Manitoba. Every day, Manitobans and people all over the world experience racism, and ECCM helps us right here in Manitoba work towards creating a more diverse and welcoming province for everyone by motivating, inspiring, and creating safe places for all of us to have these conversations. Mr. Deputy Speaker, diversity is our greatest strength, and that cannot be proclaimed enough. And so I want to thank the member for bringing forward this legislation, allowing us to have this thoughtful debate, and we're happy to be supporting it. Thank you.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 241. The Mandatory Training for Provincial Employees, Systemic Racism and Human Rights Act. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 204, the Drivers and Vehicle Amendment Act. License plates for MMIWG2S awareness. The honourable member for Point Douglas.
Miigwech, Deputy Speaker. I move, seconded by the member from Union Station, that Bill 204, the Driver and Vehicles Amendment Act, amended and reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred. Oh, you need to vote. Okay. That Bill number 204, the Driver and Vehicles Amendment Act, license plates for MMIWG awareness, as amended and reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the honourable member for Point Douglas, seconded by the honourable member for Union Station, that Bill number 204, the Drivers and Vehicles Amendment Act, license plates for MMIWG2S, as amended and reported from the Committee of the Whole, be concurred in and be now read a third time and passed. The honourable member for Point Douglas.
Miigwech, Deputy Speaker. This is a bill that's really close to my heart, as many of the members in here know. I've worked hard with families for the last couple of years, along with the member from St. John's, in supporting, uplifting, and of course listening always to the families' voices, which we know sometimes get lost in some of the work that goes on to support them. So I just want to, acknowledge and continue acknowledging those families that put their heart into making this happen. And certainly, as I alluded to earlier, it's not an extensive list, but it does include a lot of families that, are currently have someone missing, need support. It includes families whose loved ones have been murdered and no justice has been brought. They don't know who's murdered their loved ones. And of course, families will never have full closure, even if someone's been brought to justice. And they are still grieving and going through, every time someone goes missing or is murdered. And we know that there's still a lot of Manitobans that don't know about this issue. My daughter was in a store last week and she was wearing a red dress on her sweater, and somebody asked what that symbol was. So certainly this will help bring greater awareness to this issue and hopefully awaken those that don't know about it to get educated around it, but to also become a part of the solution. Because we can't expect governments or policing to just do that. We need everyone. Society needs to change how we treat each other, how we come together when stuff like this happens, but more importantly, on the preventative side, because we know more and more families are continuing to join the MMIWG2S family, and we shouldn't, continue to have these numbers rise. So some other families that have been involved are Isabel Daniels, Isabel and Brian Fontaine, Isabel Day, Jackie Flett, Kyle Flett, Jade Frost, Jana Williams' grandmother, Jasmine Paul, Jasmine Murdoch, Janet Briere, Jeremy Contois, Joanne Mason, Jocelyn Biggity, Jordan Tyo, Jocelyn Blackheart, Joyce Gabriel, Joyce Nippenack, Jillian Blackheart, Julie Lavalley, Justin James, Katrina Chartrand, Kayla Moso, Kristen Woodwicki, Kristen Nippenack, Mike McIver, Kyra Kematch, who is the daughter of Kyle Kematch, who unfortunately lost his life over a year ago. He was one of the founding members of Drag the Red, who brought awareness to the issue of missing and murdered, and certainly worked to the end of his life to find his sister, Amber Bosch, but also to support families who are having to experience this, but to bring greater awareness to the issue around missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. This fund will go to help families whose loved ones have been murdered and who have gone missing towards their education. I think about my four nieces and nephews whose, my sister Claudette's missing, whose father is struggling to help send them off to post-secondary, and works tirelessly to put money into an education fund that's matched by the government, but it's never enough, and certainly this will help those families to have that. I'm going to table the rest of these names, but I wanted to dedicate this to all of our MMIWG families, to all of those that have been murdered, to those that are missing, and of course to our community. And I especially want to dedicate this in honor of Kyle, my sister Claudette, and all the other families who are experiencing this. My stepmom, Brenda Osborne, who right now is battling stage 4 breast cancer and is in Seven Oaks Hospital, certainly sending her prayers. And, it's tough when you're a mother and you don't know where your daughter is. So, again, this is an honor for, I want to shout out my colleague from St. John's for all of the work that they've done throughout the years to support our families, including a monument where families can go and gather, especially when they don't have anyone that they don't know where their loved one is. And to all the families that continually make sacrifices to bring awareness to this issue, this license plate is hopefully going to alleviate some of that burden on our families. And hopefully people, when they see this in traffic, that they will go and look up, what is this red hand symbol? What is this red dress symbol? And get involved, like I said, because it's going to take all of us as society to shift the violence, the greater violence that happens to Indigenous people. And certainly, I have grandchildren, granddaughters, I have a daughter, as many of us do, and we want to make sure that they are safe. And again, I want to say thank you to, the minister for collaborating on this and listening to the families who put their heart and soul into this. And certainly that this is in honor of all of you. So miigwech, we love you and look forward to the unveiling of this license plate, and certainly supporting all of you. Always our love to you. Miigwech.
Before we continue on with the next speaker, is it the will of the House to have this motion accepted as written? Apparently, we made a few mistakes in reading it. So is it the will of the House to have this motion accepted as written? Agreed, and so ordered. The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I rise just to put a few words on record about Bill 204, the Drivers and Vehicles Amendment Act, license plates for MMIWG2S awareness. I want to thank the member for Point Douglas for bringing forward this legislation and just all the work that she has done and continues to do for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people here in Manitoba. I believe one commitment we can all make is to build more awareness by talking about it and having these debates here inside of the Manitoba Legislature, and I think that the member for Point Douglas has done a wonderful job at doing this and creating again that platform for all of us to be able to speak to it, to learn from one another. And by bringing forward this legislation and by working with MPI, she's created another platform where we will see license plates, not only in Manitoba, but people travel across the country, different parts of the world, and we will see these license plates, and it will create conversation and it will bring awareness. So I want to thank the member for introducing this legislation, for working diligently in all her consultation, and I'm happy to see it pass here today.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Just briefly, Mr. Acting Speaker, I want to commend the member for Point Douglas for the legislation. As I've noted in the House before, it doesn't require legislation to do a license plate. In fact, I think this is the first license plate ever created. Well, I'm getting different views from both MPI and the member, but I'm not here to quibble with the member. I'm here to commend her and congratulate her on this. It doesn't require legislation, but it's the right thing to do in this particular situation, particularly given the personal history that the member has already shared. So my understanding is that these license plates, we're hoping they can get unveiled in July prior to the blackout. We'll of course be working with the member in terms of how that happens and how it gets unveiled and the families. And so again, I just want to commend the member for Point Douglas. As I wrote on her copy of the bill, I think this is very much a legacy piece of legislation, and she's to be congratulated. Thank you.
Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 204, the Drivers and Vehicles Amendment Act, license plates for MMIWG2S awareness. Is it the will of the House, is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. We will now move on to Bill number 238, the Personal Care Home Accountability Act, various acts amended. The honourable member for River Heights.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I move, seconded by the MLA for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 238, the Personal Care Home Accountability Act, various acts amended, la loi sur la responsabilisation des foyers de soins personnels, modification de diverses lois, as amended and reported from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed.
It has been moved by the honourable member for River Heights, seconded by the honourable member for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 238, the Personal Care Home Accountability Act, various acts amended, as amended and reported from the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development, be concurred in and be now read for a third time and passed. The honourable member for River Heights.
Yeah, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to begin by thanking Rhonda Nickel, Deneen Allery, Cheryl King, Trish Rossthorn, who presented at committee stage. I also want to note that particular thanks are due to Rhonda Nickel, Deneen Allery, and Cheryl King, who were involved with the situation at Oakview Personal Care Home, which gave rise to this bill. I also hope that the bill will give some consolation to those who experienced major issues with their family members at Oakview Personal Care Home, that the experiences that they had have led directly to the changes being brought about in this bill. I also want to thank the Minister for his collaboration, his suggestions for amendments and other changes, which have led to us being able to bring forward this bill here today. I would also like to thank the members of the official opposition who have been supportive of this legislation and supportive of improvements in personal care homes. I want to give a thanks to members of our caucus, the MLA for Tyndall Park and the MLA for St. Boniface, who were very supportive of this effort, and to our staff, Shandy Strong, David Mintz, Colin Roy, Justin Sang, and Colleen Reeder, who also were part of this effort to help work in a way that will improve situation for seniors in Manitoba, and particularly for seniors who are in personal care homes and their family members. I want to note briefly some comments that were made at the committee stage, which kind of sum up aspects of this bill. Rhonda Nickel said at committee, Bill 238 proposes that any concern raised by the Family Resident Community Council is addressed, including by way of an investigation if necessary, and that a response or a preliminary response is provided to the Council at or before its next meeting. This importantly ensures accountability by the personal care home management. I will mention also a comment that was made by Cheryl King following the presentation of Deneen Allery. And Deneen Allery had described the conditions that she experienced and her parents experienced at the Oakview Personal Care Home, and which led to this legislation. And Cheryl said, I think as a family you need to have a place where you can come to and share your concerns and your expectations and not be targeted and not be retaliated on. And this bill is important because it provides a place where families know they can bring their concerns to a group and it's going to be looked at and not just swept under the carpet. Trish Rawsthorne, who also presented, commented that the best way to make an effective collective change is to inform and engage those involved. She talks about the benefits of a family council, and that major benefits are the support mutually between family members by providing and receiving emotional, informational, and practical support. She comments, working together offers the chance to heal all sides and work towards advocating, supporting all residents, families, caregivers, staff, and operators of personal care homes. And she concludes, I see the Personal Care Home Accountability Act as the way forward to help heal those who've had to work through and care for people without the additional supports of families and caregivers who are essential to the residents and those working in personal care homes. In summary, I expect that this will provide for significant improvements in personal care homes, and I look forward to this becoming law as soon as it can be. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Merci.
The honourable member for Union Station, or is there any further debate on this? No? No further debate. Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is concurrence and third reading of Bill number 238, the Personal Care Home Accountability Act, various acts amended. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt this motion? I agree. Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. I declare the motion carried. The Honorable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Can you please canvass the House to see if it's the will of members to call at 5 p.m.?
Is it the will of members to call at 5 p.m.? Agreed and so ordered. The House is now adjourned and stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you.